Skyscrapers are a marvel of human creation. I was in Chicago a few months ago, and there were skyscrapers everywhere. Being the weirdo that I am, I decided I needed to know everything about them, and now you get to benefit from my curiosity. A skyscraper is a tall, continuously habitable building having multiple floors. Different sources define skyscrapers as being at least 100 meters or 150 meters in height, though there is currently no universally accepted definition. There is some disagreement over which building should be considered the first skyscraper. The term skyscraper was first used in the 1780s to describe a particularly tall horse, before later being applied to the sail at the top of a ship's mast, tall hats and bonnets, tall men, and a ball that was hit high into the air. In the 1880s, it began to be applied to buildings, first in 83 to describe large public monuments, and then in 89 as a label for tall office buildings, coming into widespread use over the next decade. Identifying the first true skyscraper is actually rather challenging, and various candidates exist depending on what criteria you're actually looking for. For example, the New York Equitable Life Building in 1870 was the first tall office building to use the elevator, while the Produce Exchange Building in 84 made substantial structural advantages in metal frame design. The most widely accepted first skyscraper is the Home Insurance Building. Built in Chicago in 1885, the Home Insurance Building was the first true steel frame skyscraper. It originally had 10 stories with a height of 42 meters or 138 feet, with 2 additional stories added in 1891 to bring the total to 180 feet or 54.9 meters. Apparently, the architect, William Lee Barron Jenney, was inspired to develop the steel frame of the Home Insurance Building when his wife discovered that a small birdcage could take the load of several heavy books. Due to the height of skyscrapers, wind is typically a more significant load factor than earthquake or weight. To be structurally as sound as possible, most skyscrapers are constructed with a steel framework from which curtain walls are suspended, rather than load-bearing walls of conventional construction. However, recently there have actually been some wooden frame skyscrapers that are around a quarter of the weight of the reinforced concrete structures, and they reduce the building's carbon footprint by 60 to 75%. The more you know. The invention of the elevator was obviously a precondition for the invention of skyscrapers, given that no one wants to climb 8 million stairs with their bags of groceries. Can you imagine having to help someone move from the top floor? That'd be a disaster. I'd be hucking furniture out of those windows and hoping I don't crush people on the way down. Now, the elevators in skyscrapers impact the design of the whole structure, and taller buildings require more elevators to service additional floors. Architects then have to carefully plan the design to balance additional height against the value lost to elevator shafts and support. Now, some buildings use double-decker elevators, allowing more people to fit in a single elevator and reach 2 floors at every stop. It's possible to use even more than 2 levels in an elevator, but that'd be pretty greedy. The main problem with double-decker elevators is that every single time a person needs to get off, everyone else needs to pause and wait for them to exit the elevators. Many tall buildings use elevators in a non-standard configuration to reduce this footprint. A good workaround is a sky lobby, where express elevators take passengers to an upper floor which serve as some sort of base for local elevators. Buildings with sky lobbies include the World Trade Center, rest in peace, Petronas Twin Towers, Willis Tower, and Taipei 101. The 44th floor sky lobby, the John Hancock Center, also features the first high-rise indoor swimming pool, which remains the highest in the United States. I think we can all agree that that was a necessary expense. Speaking of the John Hancock Center, on November 11, 1981, which is Veterans Day, high-rise firefighting and rescue advocate Dan Goodwin successfully climbed the building's exterior wall to call attention to the difficulties in rescuing trapped people from higher floors. Wearing a wetsuit and using a climbing device to enable him to latch to the I-beams on the building's side, Goodwin battled repeated attempts of the Chicago Fire Department to knock him off. Fire Commissioner William Blair ordered Chicago firemen to stop Goodwin by directing a fully engaged fire hose at him and by blasting fire axes through nearby glass from the inside. Fearing for Goodwin's life, Mayor Jane Byrne intervened and allowed him to continue to the top, where he was promptly arrested. God bless him. As of February 2022, 14 cities in the world have more than 100 skyscrapers that are 150 meters, 492 feet, or taller. Hong Kong, China, Shenzhen, China, New York City, Dubai, Mumbai, India, Shanghai, China, Tokyo, Japan, Guangzhou, China, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Chongqing, China, Chicago, Illinois, Wuhan, China, Bangkok, Thailand, and Jakarta, Indonesia. Now, the Burj Khalifa, located in Dubai, also has the world's highest inhabited floor, highest outdoor observation decks, and the most stories at 163. It is the world's tallest building and tallest freestanding structure at 828 meters, 2,717 feet, or 0.515 miles. It has also been climbed by a few people and would take 20 seconds to fall from. Now, time travels faster up there. Because of the concept of gravitational time dilation, time travels faster on the top of skyscrapers. As we move away from the Earth, time speeds up. In an experiment in the 1970s, it was determined that time moves 1 picosecond quicker at 30 meters or 100 feet than at sea level. At the top of the Burj Khalifa, time goes by just under 3 microseconds more per year. The Burj Khalifa is so tall that you can see the sunset from the base, take the elevator up to the top, and watch it again. These two sunsets occur around 3 minutes apart, and with the elevator taking less than a minute and a half to reach the top, there is plenty of time to watch them both. Now, a skyscraper that has yet to be built is the Exceed 4000, which is a concept megatall skyscraper. It proposed 4-kilometer height, 3.7 mile sea base, and 800 floor capacity could accommodate 500,000 to 1 million inhabitants. This structure would be composed of over 3 million tons of steel. Now, the Tokyo Tower of Babel is even bigger. It is the tallest building ever envisioned, and if ever built, would house roughly 30 million people and take 100 to 150 years to build. The cost would be around 3 quadrillion yen, which is $22 trillion. Now, there was a 57-story building completed in China in less than 3 weeks. A company in China developed Mini Sky City in under 19 days. The 200-meter-tall structure utilizes a modular construction approach, and because 90% of the skyscraper was prefabricated at a factory, workers could install 3 stories per day. The same company's founder also aims to construct a 220-story skyscraper named Sky City, which would be higher than the Burj Khalifa and would take them 7 months to complete. There's a link to the building time-lapse in the description, and it is incredible. I highly recommend watching it. Now, skyscrapers alter the local weather patterns. Tall buildings produce wind tunnels that blow fiercely at ground level, and the structure works as a barrier which also allows polluted air to escape to other sites and settle in the surrounding area. In this instance, pollution due to the skyscrapers may be detrimental to city dwellers. Wah wah. The thermal effect, however, is the most interesting. Building materials like concrete and brick absorb sun energy incredibly well. During the day, the massive building absorbs the sun's heat, and the heat from the skyscraper then drains out into the surrounding air at night, keeping the city warm. It's repeated when the sun comes out and keeps the cycle going, where the city is slightly warmer than its outlying areas. Last but certainly not least, the thinnest skyscraper was finished just in 2021. Steinway Tower holds the record of the world's most slender tower. I do not trust it whatsoever, as I can demonstrate how thin it is by poorly photoshopping a toothpick over top of the building. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something today. Next time September 3rd rolls around, celebrate National Skyscraper Day. And as always, don't be a dumb fork, be a smart spoon.